of the awesome content that we have coming out. Now for this video, we are going to be jumping into Team Waltz. Now for some of you that have been with this channel for quite some time, you know that we did cover these, but we ran into some copyright issues, so we're changing things up and we're going to be republishing these comics, all in anticipation for issue number 4, prettier stories that have ever been told in the TMNT lines. This is easily going to go down as one of Kevin Eastman's best comics ever written. And with that being said, let's dive in from us, so we're not knowing exactly who this is. It could be any of the 4 brothers. But opening up, we're introduced to a whole different kind of New York City. A city that is now under the control of Shredder's grandson, with control of the Foot Clan. We see our now older turtle making his way through all of this sludge on the outside, through all of the pollution, through all of the waste. Something that regular humans could never possibly even live through. But being a mutant turtle, it definitely has its perks. And we see the Last Ronin making his entrance into the city, knocking out security cameras, throwing a grappling hook over the wall. We are seeing the Last Ronin make his assault upon this city for him, especially being a freaking 6-foot turtle walking around. It's gonna be hard to hide, but he's not so worried about that. More than anything, he's worrying from getting from point A to point B, getting to that tower where Shredder's grandson is waiting, completely unaware of what is about to happen, completely unaware that the Last Ronin is coming to take his number. And so the Last Ronin, thinking quickly that he needs to be able to move around the city, he ends up stealing a motorcycle from an individual that is referred to as Jones. But stealing this motorcycle, it was only so he could do what's about to happen, and driving that motorcycle into a giant explosion. This explosion, it propels the Last Ronin, shooting him up to where he can get into what looks like a sewer system. And so we're learning he goes up to another storm drain, popping it up just for a moment, but it appears that there are some kind of alarms on him. This alarm, it alerts security. Using a little bit of smoke and mirrors, he's able to get away long enough so he can set up an ambush. And as these fully integrated robotic security guards waiting for his chance to jump on them. And when they get close enough, he jumps down and he rips them to pieces. And with them defeated on the ground, he looks down at one and recognizes that there is some kind of human inside these. Though whatever the Foot Clan has been doing, they have been merging technology with human beings, probably in an attempt to make them more compliant, but also much more durable. But this is not the last of them. With that alarm going off, it alerted every single security guard in the area. And now this area is completely flooded with all of these cybernetic robots. And so our Last Ronin, going by the lessons his father taught him, he's striking hard, he's fading away, and he is not losing focus on his goal. And as he's taking these things out, he's realizing that some of them actually have guns. Some of them could definitely breaking. He is smashing everything that stands in his way, jumping on top of a police cruiser, getting inside of it and using it to get closer, because everything is one goal: tunnel vision to that building, to this palace, this fortress that is sitting in the center of this city. And that's what takes us to Oroku Hiroto, the grandson of Shredder. And what we see him doing is essentially using this place as a command center, not having to do any of the dirty work himself. He is commanding and controlling all of the troops and letting them know that lethal force has been authorized, and when they find this individual, whoever this person is, that they need to be executed on site, to send a message to everybody else, to remind this city who has the base of this building. To the base of this fortress, he realizes that he has made it here. The only issue is there are guards on top of guards on top of freaking guards. And so in his typical style, he grabs yet another motorcycle, using the motorcycle, ghost riding it, and causing an explosion. And the time for stealth is now gone. The strike hard and fade away aspect is no longer applying, and he is going full-fledged, ripping these people apart, ripping these robots literally to pieces. And as he is cutting through, is so freaking fast, it's hard to even keep contact on it. But he has been training years for this day. He has been training for quite some time. And with one goal in mind, to get to the top of this tower, absolutely nothing is standing in his way. And while our last Ronin is disassembling his entire forces, Oroku is watching on security cameras. And this is when he calls in for all available Foot Clan members to make their way to the tower. And as the last Ronin continues through this building, he runs into yet another layer of security. And that is some elite ninjas. Though they are robotic, they definitely can move. They definitely have been trained, programmed, and that's exactly what is driving the last Ronin right now. All of that sheer willpower, the will to end this feud right now, tonight. These robots are simply programmed. Now, Oroku, he has no intention of actually facing off with him. With him being the master, with him on this narcissistic trip, with this dictator-like mentality, he believes that he shouldn't ever have to even raise a hand, that he commands other individuals to do his bidding for him. And with all of his forces so far not being able to take down the last Ronin, this is when he sends in some Mousers. Mousers with freaking laser beams. Using a localized EMP, he's able to take out the small guys, but the big behemoth comes charging at him. And as the last Ronin rips out his katana, he goes to impale this thing. But the momentum, the speed that they are going at, it takes the last Ronin out with him through a window. And we see the two go falling many stories, landing on the pavement. We see the last Ronin raise his head as blood is spewing out of his mouth. Surprised that he is even alive, the Foot Clan, the security guards are making their way to this area, trying to disperse the crowd that is surrounding them. The last Ronin, he's able to make his escape into the sewer system, and that individual Jones, she sends the Foot Clan and the security in the opposite direction. And of course, Oroku is absolutely livid. He is not happy about this situation. And that's because the mutant turtles, they were supposed to be dead. Believing to have killed them years ago, he is in complete disbelief that this mutant turtle is still alive. But he vows that he is going to take it down, that he is going to destroy this monster, and it's going to be for vengeance. Because his mother, currently lying in a comatose state. He blames the turtles for her current condition. But more than anything, what we are truly learning is he is absolutely freaking psychotic. He is an absolute nutcase. The way he talks to his mother. But obviously, I'm not a psychiatrist. I am by no means able to diagnose somebody, let alone a character in a comic book. But if I were a betting man, my money would 100% go on to that. With our last Ronin currently bleeding out, having some brutal wounds, he makes his way through the sewer system. Getting back to the lair, he lays out his and his brother's weapons. Some of them, it is time. It is time for him to end his life. Through the ancient tradition of seppuku, the form of taking one's life, considered honorable among the samurai class. With him missing his brothers, with him being completely isolated and alone, with him not having anybody, dealing with this PTSD, dealing with this depression, dealing with all of this trauma. To add on to that, he failed in his mission. He was unable to take down the Foot Clan. And so this feels like the only option, his only way out, to do the honorable thing and to take his life. And as he puts that broken sword next to his stomach, getting ready to impale himself, at the last moments he stops. He stops himself because he's not ready. He's not ready to go. He is not ready to stop this fight. And as he passes out from all of this blood loss, this is where we see that individual that goes by Jones come into the room. And that's what picks us up in some kind of dream state. And our last Ronin, he's waking up completely surrounded by his brothers, as if it's just a regular day back in the past. Waking up to eating breakfast, everybody joking around, having a good time, back when things were great, back when he had his brothers with him. But as he wakes up from this, he looks around the room to find an individual he recognizes, because that individual is none other than April herself. And as April comes into the room, she refers to him as Michelangelo. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I personally absolutely, you know I love the darker, grittier stories. I love a sad, depressing story that tackles all the trauma, the PTSD, the depression, the anxiety, because it truly does shine the light on how much pain can really affect somebody. Even someone like Michelangelo, who is in a much different light now. We are seeing him all grown up. We're seeing life has finally taken its toll on him, and he's not cracking jokes anymore. We're seeing an individual that dang near took his own life. An individual that simply wants his brothers back, believing everybody to be dead. We can only imagine the glimmer of hope that came into him once he saw April. And like I said in the beginning of this is one hell of a story. This is easily going to go down as one of the best Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle lines ever to come out. And I only pray that we get some kind of on-screen adaptation of this, be it animated. My eyes out to this story, and there is 100% chance that would happen if this were ever brought to the screen. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have not yet, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out, and until the next breakdown.